big. Move closer to the TV or to the edge of your seat in the stadium.
They start to chant, Barry, Barry.
And you just wait for something great to happen.
You don't know when it's going to happen, but it's going to happen.
It might be a 6-yard run, it might be a 60-yard run, but it's going to take your breath away from you.
And bumps to the 40, breaks it, 35, 30, he's gone! Unbelievable! Oh my gosh, what a run! Wow!
And they said, oh man, now you see that great running, man.
That was unbelievable.
I just had to shake my head, man. How did you do that?
That one is a highlight reel special.
Run that back again.
Oh, God, did you see that?
Holy mackerel!
You can't say they got him.
Looked like it was bottled up for nothing.
Because, until the whistle blows, they don't got him.
I thought he was down. I did too.
You can't just say pick out the belt buckle and go for it because it's going to move.
Oh, he made a move!
He is the best touch football player who ever lived.
Rodney Peete, draw to Barry. Barry skirts to the 15, looks for running room, cuts to the...
There's a lot of shoes and jock straps laying on the field after the game.
He's to the 5 and will take it in. Touchdown, Lions. Oh, that is one of the great runs you'll ever see.
The clip that they show where against the Bills, the guy's got him, and he's got him spun around in a 360, and he thinks he's throwing him to the ground, and he comes out the other side, and he's still running.
He got hit by about 8 bears and something, and all of a sudden the bears are flying everywhere, and he's doing cartwheels, and he's down the sidelines and in the end zone.
I don't know what the guy's name was against New England, and he literally just toyed with him. He got up on him, and the guy was running back on us. He got up and rolled his back on this side, and the guy turned around, he rolled this side, and he made him spin all the way around, and he went in for a touchdown.
When you look at Barry Sanders run the football and you see him do the amazing thing, run after run, sometimes you just got to look to the heavens and say, wow, wow.
He just could stop on a dime.
Cut on a dime.
Stop on a dime.
Cut on a dime and give you change.
He squats, I don't know how many houses. His legs are so strong.
Huge thighs, big, powerful.
It's like his feet are digging in the ground, almost like he's going to pull the turf up off the concrete. That's how powerful he runs.
Just everything that he does out there, it's almost poetry in motion. It really is.
Barry Sanders with a move that Mikhail Baryshnikov couldn't make.
I mean, how graceful can it be until you see Barry Sanders?
When you're a kid and you're fishing for the first time and you catch your first fish and you go to grab that fish off the hook and it just jumps all over the place, that reminds me of Barry when people are coming in to tackle him.
One of those little super balls, and it's bouncing all around the room. You're trying to catch that little super ball, and you can't catch him.
Pinball machine. You know, playing pinball is just bing, 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 bing.
It's kind of hard to catch a rabbit. You know, they run between your legs.
It's like go to SeaWorld and watch a killer whale dive down deep. The excitement is you never know what he's going to do or where he's going to come from. And all of a sudden, from nowhere, he pops about the water. Oh!
That's Barry.
Wow.
No one really knows where life's road will lead or what will happen along the way. But back in Wichita, Kansas, just about every boy had the same dream. A dream that one day he'd take a handoff, make a move, take it all the way, and hear the crowd explode. The smallest of them all had that big dream right from the beginning.
For whatever reason, a lot of the kids my age or my size, they weren't really attracted to football like I was. You have all these older kids out playing this game, and this little bitty kid wanted to go and get roughed up by everybody. We call tackle the man with the ball. You just, I don't know, 20, 15 guys, and you just throw it up and you try to run from one end to the other. And at a very young age, I just had a very strong attraction to football. I remember one of the guys, a couple years older than me, he told me that he was playing on an organized team in the city, and I went to watch him practice, and I was like, man, I gotta sign up. And I remember asking my father, and my father was like, no, I think you should wait a couple years, you're too small, this, that, and the other. And so I went to practice, and I signed up, and I've been practicing for a couple of days, and I finally told my father. He didn't react in a negative way. I mean, he was like, okay, well, if you want to play that bad, you can go ahead and stay on the team.
his father had a dashed hope that Barry would head down to Norman and play for the mighty Sooners.
No one knew anything about Barry Sanders. He came out of Wichita. He was a wingback, only touched the ball 2 or 3 times a game. He was very light. You don't go take a 5'7", 165, 70-pound wingback in high school when you only got 30 scholarships, 28 scholarships. So Oklahoma State, they were fortunate to get him. In fact, it was a gift to them.
He wouldn't follow the great Billy Sims in Oklahoma. Instead, he'd labor in the shadow of Thurman Thomas down in Stillwater.
I had played behind Thurman for 2 years, and it was kind of by happenstance that I broke the lineup. Next thing you know, they had to put me in the game because some of the upperclassmen are hurt.
Sanders was unleashed, and no one feared him more than the coach who once passed him over.
We were preparing to play OSU one time, and I was sitting in with my defensive staff looking at offensive film of OSU. And I sat there a while, and I got up and I walked over to our offensive staff who was watching defensive film of OSU, and I said, guys, we've got a problem. And I said, better hope Thurman Thomas doesn't get hurt. And they all looked at me like I was crazy. I said, you don't want to play against this freshman named Barry Sanders. Well, they'd never heard of Barry Sanders. We have a tough enough time with Thurman, but you won't ever touch this kid.
They kicked off to us, and boom, first play of the game, 100 yards. He ran it all the way back. Same game, he ran a punt return back for a touchdown. The next year, they kick off to us again. He runs it back 100 yards again. It's the first time in NCAA history that one man has ran back 2 100-yard kicks after different years. And so at that kind, you say, well, this guy kind of lucky, you know. Right? Maybe he's kind of lucky, you know. He's good, but I don't think he's as good as what we think he is.
As a junior, he rushed for over 2,600 yards, scored 37 touchdowns, and set or tied 21 NCAA records. It was the greatest single season a college runner ever had.
I remember meeting Barry when he was at Oklahoma State, there with Thurman. I knew then this guy was something special.
At Oklahoma State, everything happened so quickly. Even though I put up impressive numbers at that time, I wasn't sure if I was really going to win the trophy.
It is my special privilege to announce, with great joy, the 1988 winner of the Heisman Award, the John W. Heisman Memorial Trophy, is Barry Sanders of Oklahoma State University.
When they gave it to me, I was shocked. I was shocked, but it was wonderful. It was a very nice experience. Yeah, I just like to say I thank God for putting me in this position. You know, I couldn't have done it without him. Secondly, I'd like to thank my offensive line and my fullback, Garrett Limbrick. You know, they've done such a great job. You know, I couldn't have asked for a better season out of those guys. And, you know, I'd like to thank William and Shirley Sanders for being so inspirational in my life and bringing me up, you know, the way they know I should be brought up. And thanks a lot.
His parents and brother Byron accepted the trophy. And after Barry returned from the Holiday Bowl to claim his prize, he had become the prize that every NFL team coveted. The Detroit Lions were one of the first to visit.
I know the first time Coach Fonz sent me down to Oklahoma State to work him out, and he really didn't want to be drafted by the Detroit Lions at that time.
I didn't know, you know, I mean, I'm sure he looked at a lot of other players or whatever. I didn't really know what to take of it.
But he said, I'll lift weights for you. So he just walked in the weight room, took his shirt off, and benched 225 21 times, and just kind of put it down. Said, is that okay? I said, that's okay.
I went back and I just got to be head coach, and I was a defensive coach in the years past, and all the coaches were down there saying, oh, you're not going to take Barry. I said, why are you here? You're going to probably take that defensive back. You're going to take this player. You're going to take that linebacker.
He said, Coach, why do you want me? I'm a tailback. You're a run and shoot. I said, Barry, we think you can make 1,500 yards in this offense. And he said, well, what if I want to make 2,500 yards? I said, well, it's never been done, but you're more than welcome. We'd love to have it happen.
Halfway through the workout, I lit up my cigar and said, we're taking this young man. I mean, no way, I'm not trading the choice. We're taking him. He's going to make things happen.
I remember after the workout, Wayne called me up to Coach Jones's office, and he said, "Well, you know, we're going to draft you."
Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like at this time to introduce to you one of the finest running backs in the United States of America, and our number 1 pick, Barry Sanders.
Everything happened fast because one minute I'm just going to class and thinking about I have another year to go to school, and the next minute, you know, I have Wayne Fontes telling me that he wants me on his team. And so yeah, it was a thrill.
I really feel good, and I feel it's a privilege to be one of the players that will help restore the roar in the Dome.
A savior had arrived, but a hero had just departed. His name was Billy Sims. And while their styles were different, everything else was exactly the same. Fate had linked them together. Billy and Barry, both were Heisman winners. Both starred in the state of Oklahoma. They even shared the same position coach. Both were roaring 20s, first-round picks by Detroit. They had the same initials, and there was no BS about them. Billy Sims would be a tough act to follow. He had become a larger-than-life Lion legend, and now the little Wichita whirlwind had to follow in his footsteps.
Well, I had enough pressure on me, and you know, I didn't want to try to think about trying to compete with Billy Sims in any way. I mean, he was a great back, and I'm the type person, I mean, I have a hard time trying to compare myself with people that I virtually idolized as a kid. You know, I was honored when Coach asked me did I want to, you know, have the same jersey number.
His rookie year, he signed the Thursday before our opening game against the Cardinals here in the Silverdome. We were debating, shall we play him? Gosh, he'll only have had 1 day of no pad practice. What are we going to do? I think Coach Fontes' thinking was, well, we probably won't play him. We went into the end zone to warm up and went over one running play, a slant. And I said, Barry, if Coach Fontes says you're going to play, would you like to play? And he said, yeah, that's fine. We were losing, I think, 10-0, 10-6. It was a close football game. And in the third quarter, Coach Fontes called me and just said, hey, let's put Barry in the game. We're not doing much.
Like, you know, any rookie would be, I was very nervous before going into the game.
Listen to this crowd.
I didn't really know what to expect because I hadn't been hit since the Holiday Bowl in December, you know, and it was my first time in pads, and I was really wondering, you know, how do the pros hit, and you know, once I got the first run out of the way, I really felt comfortable with it.
First down, the S-back is the Heisman Trophy winner. And he gets the call, cuts it back, reverses field, 25, 20, he's to the 15, he's to the 10-yard line. Barry Sanders, on his first NFL carry, goes 19 yards and a first down. How about that?
It was a super impressive opening, and it was one play only. Slant to the left, slant to the right. And he used his own eyes and went where he wanted to go.
Galliano, hand off Barry Sanders, left side. Sanders breaks a tackle. Touchdown, Lions! Barry Sanders, with those big, big legs, broke a tackle and takes it in.
Years ago, the big kids laughed at him. Oklahoma and the college powers snubbed him. Thurman Thomas made him ride the bench. He had to break the spell once cast by Billy Sims. Now, he was free to play. He would take that handoff, make that move, go the distance, and the crowd roared for him. He was voted Rookie of the Year by a landslide, and late in the season, he streaked past Billy, another Rookie of the Year. Barry Sanders had arrived. And he first rewrote the Lion record book by breaking the rookie rushing record.
He has the new rookie rushing record, breaking Billy Sims' mark. They will stop play. And out comes Billy Sims.
Couldn't happen to a better guy. I knew it would just be a matter of time that he's going to break and set a lot of records for the Detroit Lions. Plus, he's doing it with a good number on his back, actually.
As Billy Sims hold up Barry Sanders' hand and says, this guy's the winner, and he gets the record, rushing more yards than any Lion rookie in history.
Making comparisons, the debate never really ends. But when it comes to comparing Barry to today's runners, he wins hands down. So, Jerome, who's the greatest pure runner in the game today?
Barry Sanders.
And the most exciting?
Barry.
The toughest to tackle?
Barry Sanders.
I think the quickest first step, especially stop and go, is Barry Sanders.
The best in open field has to be Barry Sanders.
Who has the best moves there, Garrison?
Barry Sanders.
Where does he rank on your list, Dave?
We're here. He's over there. Now he's leaguing his own.
In other words, he's
the man. He's the man. That's what he is.
No question about it. He is the man.
The man. The man.
How many guys can go the distance on any play at any time?
And it looks like we're running about 10, 15 different running plays. All of them the same. Barry makes them look different.
His style is so different. You take his number off and put 45 on him. That's Barry Sanders. You know, you just know that's Barry Sanders. That's him.
Man does amazing things.
There are some times when he'll get the ball and literally not get touched. He's doing this against the best in the world. How could someone be that much better than everybody else?
Watch him make a play and still be in disbelief and say, no, it didn't happen the way I think it happened. And then you see it on film the next day, and it's 10 times better than you even believed.
When he makes those great runs, when he comes off the field, I put my arm around him. I said, Barry, that was the best I've ever seen. I've said that maybe 100 times already. I'm sure I haven't seen the best yet. I think he keeps getting better and better.
The thing that makes him a spectacular performer is the reason you can't dissect him. You know, and I've found that the greater the player, the less he can tell you about what he does. If you talk to Barry, he doesn't know what I mean, it's all instinct. He doesn't know where he's going, what he's going to do. Nothing's premeditated. You know, I mean, he just goes here and sees the guy and he runs over there.
I was never the type of runner that could run straight through someone. I always had to find another way to get around them. I can be looking upfield, but then I can also react to some guy coming from this side or that side, spins or jumps or jukes and stuff like that. But if something's not there, trying to create it. Something that I've always taken personal is to you know, break the tackle or outrun somebody or stiff arm them or juke them or do whatever I can, you know, to get past them.
He turns those precise X's and O's into an impromptu doodle, describing the indescribable. That's the challenging job of Lion announcer Mark Champion.
Last season, the Packers beat the Lions at the Silverdome. Certainly the Lions would like to return the favor here today.
You know, to me, Barry is unlike any other running back I've ever seen.
The Lions, of course, have Barry Sanders, the NFL's rushing leader.
It's hard to describe them. People have asked me, well, you must have fun describing a Barry Sanders run, but sometimes it's tough because you just don't know what adjective you use, because you say, well, how can I top that one? Because he'll top it the next run, and then you've already used your best stuff, you know, so, you know, what are you going to do with him? He's amazing.
2nd and 9 from the 32. Pitch out to Barry, left side, hole, 35, 40. Barry on the run to the 50, to the 45, to the 40. Look out, 30. They'll never catch him. See you later. Touchdown, Lions. Barry Sanders, 68 yards.
Well, the old saying around here is, when in doubt, give the ball to Barry. Once he gets through the line of scrimmage and jukes that first runner, you can just, I mean, the crowd just, you know, all of a sudden, you know, you can kind of feel the goosebumps go on you, because this could be it. And anytime he touches the football, this could be it. Anybody who says Barry isn't the best running back in football, just, they don't know what they're talking about.
It's like watching fireworks on the 4th of July. You have to be there. And just when you think you've seen the best, the next one's even better.
Sometimes, you know, he'll complete a run, whether it be for a touchdown or 2 yards, and then I'll go back and listen to the tape after the game, and I go, you know, I should have been, the description should have been better. But at the time, you're afraid to say something really spectacular or use the, you know, the A material.
Holy mackerel, what a run by Barry Sanders. That is one of the more incredible runs that you will ever see.
Because every run could be the next greatest run.
Holy mackerel. I tell you what, every time we talk about Barry, we say that's the greatest run, that's the greatest run. That might have been the greatest run.
You got to stop and think sometimes that his ordinary 3-yard runs would be spectacular runs by any other average running back.
Hand off Barry, skirts to the left side, and he will take it in. Touchdown! Breaks 2 tackles to take it in.
And the one thing I say is, man, oh man.
Oh man.
Or wow.
Wow.
And you feel like you're being redundant saying it over and over, but I mean, that's Barry. I mean, what else are you going to do? Man, oh man. I mean, I don't know what more you can say about him. He's the best I've ever seen.
He's gone! Touchdown! Oh my! Holy mackerel! Oh my! Oh baby! Only Barry Sanders.
I think maybe when he retires and I'm on to whatever I'm doing years down the road, I'll look back and say, you know, what a great honor it was to be the voice of the Lions during the era of Barry Sanders.
He leaves tacklers hog-tied and announcers tongue-tied, and all who watch have a loss for words.
When you look at Barry Sanders run the football and you see him do the amazing thing, run after run, sometimes you just got to look to the heavens and say, wow. Wow.
Barry's my new idol now. I love the way the guy runs. When I grow up, I want to run just like him.
Not only is he a great player, he's a great human being on the football field. A team likes him. There's not a player in this football team that dislikes Barry Sanders. He's easy to get along with. He's never late for meetings. He's always on time. Tremendous attitude.
21. A lot of times after people been in the league 3, 4, 5 years or so and have great success, their work habits change a little bit and they don't prepare as hard as they used to. But Barry works as hard, if not harder, than anybody on this team or in the league.
And the young guys see that and it carries over because he's an extremely hard worker in practice, and that's where a lot of his leadership qualities come from, just by not standing up and being a rah-rah guy in the locker room, but how he practices. And it's certainly been 6 years of joy to watch this guy play and to be on his team. I feel honored, I really do.
Barry Sanders' legs have thrust him into the spotlight of superstardom. But the brightness of that light hasn't blinded him.
Looking back, I never remember thinking when I was a kid that ball players are famous or, you know, they get a lot of money. Everyone knows who they are. I was never really a big attraction for me. I felt like I had enough attention growing up. You know, I had 10 brothers and sisters. I had enough people around me all my life. So I don't know. So it was just really weird going places and people stopping you, saying that you're a star.
Can you please sign this? Mr. Sanders, please sign this. Can you please sign this?
When I think of a star, I think of John Wayne or Jerry Lewis or Denzel Washington.
It'll be 2,000 this year, Barry.
I think I'm fairly attractive, but I don't think I'm necessarily Denzel Washington. I don't look in the mirror and say, yeah, you're a star. I see pretty much the same guy that grew up in very modest surroundings in Kansas. I'm just a really, really good ball player.
Barry!
He still lives only 3 minutes away from the Silverdome. And while he's the undisputed lord of this manor, he's unaffected and accommodating.
Barry, he's the ultimate team player, and many times as linemen, we go to him, asking him what he sees and what he thinks will work, and he does the same with us, but he never demands the ball, which a lot of players of his caliber would.
But I'll tell you what, if you want to give a star to anybody, give it to Barry Sanders, because he kept the on-rushing Buccaneer lineman from dropping Rodney Peete.
That's big time, boy. Big time. Doing it all, Barry. Keep him going. Great block.
For Barry, he finds joy in playing his part. It is how you play the game. He doesn't need to be the focus, in the spotlight, in the headlines. He doesn't even need the ball.
No question about it. We run Barry in motion, 3 guys to move. We fake a pass to Barry, 4 guys are covering. We fake a screen to Barry, the linemen stop rushing. We fake a running play in the line of scrimmage, they all stop rushing to cover Barry. It gives us more time to play pass.
Craig, deep handoff to Barry, cuts right, flip back, oh, flea flicker. Dave Craig's got Herman Moore wide open, got a touchdown! Holy mackerel!
The essence of Barry Sanders was revealed in the final game of his rookie season. He had ripped through the Falcons for 158 yards and 3 touchdowns when his coaches told him he was only 11 yards away from the rushing title. What did Barry do? He took himself out. The game's in hand. Let Christian Okoye win it, he said.
When the game is out of reach, or to stay in the game just to try to get some statistical goal, then I don't know. I mean, I have a hard time competing against numbers. To go in and try to get 5 yards just for the sake of getting it, I just can't get into it.
There is nothing Barry Sanders won't do to help his team win, however. He's returned punts and kicks. He loves to block. He's played in the run and shoot. He's never had a big lead blocker to pave the way. He seems to have a different quarterback hand off to him each year, and he's even run in the wishbone. Last season, when the Lions replaced him with a fullback near the goal line, he lost some touchdowns, but he never lost sight of who he was. He's a coach's dream.
This is what impresses me about Barry Sanders. You say, Barry, we'd like the backs to sit here on the bench and so forth. Where is Barry? He is always where you told him to sit. He comes out of the game, he sits. He sits until the ball is in the air when the other team punts, and he runs onto the field.
Actually, he's a real troublemaker on the sideline. He's never where he's supposed to be. He'll interrupt position meetings and bother his blockers. And then he'll steal the Gatorade off the water boy so he looks like the caring good guy. And those end zone antics, why, they're just a shameless, egotistical, obnoxious display. He hands it to the ref. He flips it with his left hand. He flips it with his right. And when he's really feeling zany, the backflip.
Whenever he scores, not only knows where the defense is, but he knows where that official is. He'll go this way, or that way, or this way, but the official always catches the ball. And that's amazing. Maybe the official's fast as Barry, I don't know.
The guys are getting on me about at least, getting a spike, or a lot of them aren't even sure if I know how to spike. That's a little insulting. After splitting in half and going from sideline to sideline and disappearing, one seems to get exhausted, and so I don't have the energy to dance, and plus I don't have that kind of rhythm. Maybe I should work with Dion and see if maybe he can give me one of his spare dances.
The quality that sets Barry apart is that his most memorable end zone moves are performed not in front of millions, but in private, quietly, in the tunnel. Barry wouldn't have it any other way.
Thanks, Barry. If I had to choose between being a star and an honorable person, right now sitting there, I'd have to say having some kind of honor or dignity and being an honorable person. Hopefully, I can learn to balance the two. Being an honorable person is probably a lot more fulfilling than being a star.
For Barry Sanders, it isn't lonely at the top. Good things do come in small packages. He is a role model. He knows the playbook as well as the good book, where it is written that he who humbles himself shall be exalted. On the field, his world is a double-crossing, zigzagging sprint. Off it, it is an honest, forthright, straight path. No one has experienced the sheer dread of preparing for Barry Sanders more often than former Ram defensive line coach John Teerlinck.
We knew we had to play Barry Sanders, and we felt the only way we could even simulate his movement at practice was to get a couple of chickens and have our 300-pound linemen try to corral him and chase him and box him in and corner him and cut him off. But the biggest problem we had, we were in Los Angeles at the time, and there was you can't go out 5 miles in the country and buy a chicken. There's no chicken farms or ranches. So we had to go to Vietnamese market and bought 2 chickens. We put them in a box, brought them to practice. So we got the guys in a big circle ready to go, let the chickens out, and wouldn't you know it, we got 2 laid-back LA, Hollywood, Beverly Hills type chickens that just stood there and slowly strutted around. And it didn't give us quite the picture we needed. By the time they gave us a picture, we caught them. Come on now, come on.
Poor John. Then he went to Minnesota, where he faced Barry twice a year.
When we practiced against him in Minnesota, we used 3 running backs every practice to simulate him. Every play we brought in a new back. They'd rotate 3 through, and we wouldn't blow the whistle till after 10 guys have touched him because we wanted to get in the practice of pursuing and trying to hem him in. It took that much work even from our practice squad guys to try to simulate Barry.
If you can't beat him, join him. So Teerlinck took a job in Detroit. Now Barry sharpens his defense. And Teerlinck can finally relax and watch others experience the nightmare of Barry.
See that guy right there? You know who that is, huh?
Whenever you play the Detroit Lions, you have to zero in and you have to stop Barry Sanders.
Everybody to the football. We know we got to tackle this guy. One guy, we can't depend on one guy to tackle this guy. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, D. 1, 2, 3, D.
All as a group know that they're in for a wild afternoon.
They got the dangerous back in the NFL. He liable to break it any minute.
Hey, D, we got to get to that ball today. We got to corral that little Barry Sanders.
He's totally a defender's nightmare and an entire defense's nightmare because it takes all 11 guys to corral him and hem him in and then get him down and keep him down.
Come on, man. If you don't see him, just stay where you are. I mean, he's the kind of guy who'll come right back to you.
You got to stop him. Period.
He can be stopped. It's quite rare, but Sanders was held in check by the Packers in the 1994 playoffs. They did it by employing the Sanders mind meld.
What you want to try to do against a guy like Barry Sanders is you better kind of think like him and try to feel like him and almost say, well, okay, if I feel like him and I think like him, now maybe I got a shot.
But Barry probably loses more yards in a game rushing than most backs and probably all the National Football League backs. We're not going to change his style of running. Every time Barry touches the ball, Barry's looking to get the big one. If the hole is plugged up, he's looking somewhere else. If there's a little bit of a hole, he's looking for a bigger hole.
Sometimes you wish Barry just hit it up in there and get 3 yards. But, you know, then I said, well, why would I want to tell Barry how to run? That's like me calling the Vatican and telling the Pope how to pray. You know what I mean?
For me, it's like the ultimate challenge, really. It's a very dangerous game. Most of the guys aren't that pleasant.
Nothing.
And so, you know, they say a ton of things, regardless of what I've been able to do, that's not going to happen today. You know, is the basic message that I usually get out of what they say.
Don't run that shit over here. What's the wrong with you?
My answer is when I get the ball, I try to prove them wrong.
So let's see what happens.
Here's Pete back to throw. He hands off to Sanders. Gets outside to the 30. Brilliant. What a sight.
He's the greatest running back in the National Football League today, and is one of the greatest I've seen in a long, long time.
You stop him, and then see you later.
They go, Tony, I told you, don't let him go. Gee, I knew he was going.
Never let that outside. Never let y'all weak. Don't let him outside when it's dangerous. Damn.
Then they just give up after that. They said, man, he done killed our spirit. We had him down the whole time.
A broken spirit leads to delirium, then awe. One linebacker swears he even saw Barry divide in two.
Look, see it? The double? See the double?
He's just a tremendous, great running back.
Stiff arm to the 15, to the 10, juke move to the 5, very nice, touchdown, Lions!
I don't really pay that much attention to what people are doing to stop me. It's more so, how can I go out and do above and beyond what I did yesterday and challenge myself and still make sure, you know, I'm as big a threat today as I was yesterday.
He stands just 5'8", but he's a giant to every defender.
Your teammates are, it's funny because, especially with this bunch here, you can't, like, you know, Brett Perryman and Herman Moore, I mean, you can't get too full of yourself because as soon as the opportunity comes for them to put it back in your face, obviously, they're going to take full advantage.
I don't think they make golf clubs for Barry. What do you think? I don't think they make golf clubs for Barry.
Too short.
Unless you go into Toys R Us.
You better leave Barry alone.
Or either you could break one of mine in half. What do you think?
I think you get shorter every year.
Looks that way. Hey, Muggsy. Tyrone Bowles, throw the ball.
He's caught in an identity crisis or something, I don't know. But he's bringing back the afro.
You know where man can get a good pick?
And it's really dry, flaky. I think he needs to get it texturized, get some moisture going in there or something like that.
Height jokes, hair abuse, and then there's that pass he tried up in Green Bay.
Wide open, he threw it in the dirt. Remember Green Bay?
The snap was bad.
Oh, dang.
He had to roll out. It was freezing. His teammates don't want to hear it.
Just throw it up. Listen, you can throw it like this, man.
He forgot to tell you it was Sub-Zero. He forgot to tell you it was Sub-Zero, man.
Hey, wide open.
He can take it, and he can dish it out. But last season, despite turning in the 4th highest rushing total ever and single-handedly leading Detroit to the playoffs, Barry was blasted by his mates worse than ever. The reason? He got caught from behind a few times.
Oh yeah, it took a tremendous razzing in the locker room after the games and even in practice. They'd give him the ball and he'd just run off tackling, and a lineman would start chasing. He'd say, "I can catch you, everybody else is catching you," one of those type deals, and he just keeps riding to get.
45, 50, carried to the 40. He's on a streak, they'll never get him. 20, 15, 10. All they do from behind at the 4-yard line. Oh, his teammates are going to razz him, though. He got caught from behind again.
I gave Barry a pounding about getting run down from behind because Barry is a very fast guy. I just let him have it, called him slow. It's like the rabbit and the turtle. I said, you know, you're just so slow, you can't get. I said, I could have ran you down. I said, I was even blocking the guy, knocked him down, got up, and he caught you.
When everybody had did their job and it was time for me to take it on in for the score, you know, I just didn't make it. I did get close though.
He's off. 30, 40, 50. Barry to the far side. 40 to the 30. Barry is going to be tackled inside the 15 in a big-time face mask.
And actually, I remember my father saying, "You're pretty fast, but you know, and you're fast enough. But there's always, you know, someone a little quicker, and just, you know, don't take it too hard."
I know how I feel, and I know how Coach Fonts feels. He keeps making those 80-yard runs, and occasionally gets caught from behind. We can live with it.
He extended his streak to 733 straight carries without a fumble. And of the NFL's 9 runs over 60 yards last year, Barry had 6 of them. He wasn't about to be run down from behind on his last one.
Craig to Barry, 35, 40, breaks it open, look out. He's gone to the 50, near side 40, it's a sprint. 30, 20, 15, 10, 5, touchdown. Barry Sanders, 65 yards.
He fuels our imagination and our dreams. But just how does he do it? Here's some insight into some of his greatest runs from the man himself.
A lot of it is going around guys and faking, and you know, most of that stuff is balance. You know, breaking tackles, a lot of that is balance. I'm just looking for an opening right there. Sometimes you get hit like that and you're fortunate enough to be able to stay up. People see, you know, you take a shot like that and they're expecting for you to go down. Just on this run right here against the Bears, I mean, I'm sure a few of those guys were letting up some because I was supposed to go to the ground on that one. And for whatever reason, I was able to stay up. I haven't seen these in a while, man. I like these. And this one here, I just remember taking a few steps downfield and realizing that my shoe was off. And so just trying to run as far as I can. Couldn't really cut right now because little hampered. A lot of times on a long run, it's not until after the play is over, then the crowd comes back in. I can hear the crowd. So sometimes it is like you block out all sound. You're reacting, you know, right there. I mean, you're in a crowd of people, so you get low and you just kind of try to make a few more yards before you go down. Well, I just remember cutting out there, and I remember seeing him turn around and I'd cut back outside, and you know, as long as he was turning around, he couldn't tackle me, I guess. There's always somebody else coming. You know, I thought after I get past him, it'd be a free lane to the end zone, but you got guys chasing you all the way down there, making it tough, making it more tough on me. Survival is a part of the human instinct, but the last thing you want to do is get smacked upside the head, and so you do what you can to try to prevent it. And I think it was one of those things again where, you know, you're in a crowd of people, you get hit, you know, people are thinking you're gonna go down. I remember Tony Casillas being there, and the guy tried to trip me. I think more of it is just survival, some effort and hard work, but that was also lady luck on my side. Basically, I'll just run by what I see. It's not always where the play is designed or whatever. And that's one thing that's always really encouraged me in really tough games. You know, the defense is playing well and, you know, they're in the right place at the right time, but sooner or later, you know, I'm gonna have an opportunity to break one. You know, you're gonna hit that home run, and that's what counts. If you do it often enough, then, you know, it'll pay the bills for a while.
He's probably the most appreciated athlete in the history of Detroit, and there's been some great athletes on, you know, I'm talking all sports, from Al Kaline to Isaiah Thomas to Billy Sims. But while he's playing, but his legend will be unmatched when he's done playing.
Remember, as a kid playing tag, you want to get him to tag him and touch him, you never do. I mean, he always has his flag in flag football. He's never hit and tag. You just can't catch him.
And they never will. And fortunately, for fans everywhere, it, for Barry Sanders, was always football.
I wasn't terribly attracted to soccer or getting involved in some band, you know, or being an actor. A race car driver, you know, I don't know. I've always liked ball. Being able to go out and compete, being healthy and young and having the physical ability to go out and do really well at something that I really like doing is something that is really fulfilling for me.
On each snap, 11 men set their sights on number 20. And from the beginning, he set his sights on proving himself to those 11. Now, he wants more.
You know, when I first came into the game, my thing was to try to, you know, prove that I could play on this level, you know, coming from a small school. And then my thing was to be consistent and, you know, at least get to the playoffs. And then after that, it was, you know, let's try to get further than just the playoffs. Let's try to make it all the way. So that's the thing that I think drives me. Not out of thinking. I mean, I know it is. I mean, getting to the championship game and then going to the Super Bowl. I mean, that's the ultimate of this game. And so the ultimate thing now is getting to that pinnacle of success, which is, you know, getting a Super Bowl ring. Or whatever else. I just came out and I took care of business on the field, and I gained the respect of my peers, and took it very serious. Not only took it serious, but also was able to appreciate, you know, just the people that I met and the overall experience, and not take it for granted. And so if I can be remembered in that way, then I'll be satisfied.
Pitch out to Barry, left side, hole 35-40, Barry on the run, look out, 30, they'll never catch him, see you later, touchdown,
Indeed, no one really knows where life's road will lead, but one thing's certain. Barry Sanders' journey has been a memorable one.
What a run by Barry Sanders. Holy mackerel. It's free. He's on his way. Unbelievable. And that should put him on top of the NFL in rushing. 43-yard run. He was tied up twice, and he just kept pounding those legs, and he scores, and the Lions have the lead.